And now, a CBS 21 News first warning weather alert.
Good morning, everybody. Breaking in here to update you on an ongoing tornado warning that is in place for southern Lancaster County. So we're going to go right down to Lancaster and right near the Coreyville area. This is basically the area of 372. You can see this red box. I'm going to outline it here for you. We'll zoom in and actually show you where the warning is. So where that red area is, that's an ongoing tornado warning, again, for eastern Lancaster County. That includes the Coreyville area pretty much all the way to the Octoraro Creek, which borders Lancaster and Chester County. This is also a severe thunderstorm. Up to 1-inch hail is possible and very, very heavy rainfall. So we'll take you to the radar and show you exactly what we're looking at with this storm. You can see it's very, very red and dark reds over the eastern part of the county. And that's where the strongest part of the storm is. So 372 down towards 472 in eastern Lancaster County. That's where we're seeing the strongest rotation with the storm. We're going to flip it into velocity mode. And right where you see the really bright greens, that's indicating some stronger winds. Could be winds over easily 70, 75 miles an hour. And again, oftentimes weak tornadoes have winds of 75, even 80 miles an hour. So this is radar indicated. We have no confirmation that this tornado is on the ground, but one could be developing. So this is certainly something we're going to continue to monitor as the threat evolves. And right up here, I want you to look close to 372 and 896. So this is very eastern Lancaster County. You see where we have some red and green next to each other. So that's an indication that we are seeing some rotation with this storm. It's not strong, but it's certainly there, and one could be developing. And again, weak tornadoes, straight line winds, are often 70 to 80 miles an hour. That's enough to pick up and move a shed, certainly do damage to roofs, siding, and certainly cause some tree damage as well. So this is very, very eastern Lancaster County. This tornado warning was just issued, and we're going to put a little track on it here. You can see, well, actually, so let me backtrack here. And again, this includes eastern Lancaster County, so Coreyville, Paradise, at Glen, which is basically the Chester County, Lancaster County border there. And that red box, that's outlining where we have the ongoing tornado warning. So we'll go back to velocity mode. This is what you're mostly what you look at most of the time. And again, we're looking at this red box. That's where we have the ongoing tornado warning, and the purple's in there indicating the potential for some hail. So quarter-size hail up to 1 inch in diameter. That's obviously enough to do damage, and when you have straight-line winds, that can certainly blow the hail around, along with tornadic winds as well. So again, breaking in here because we have an ongoing tornado warning. This was just issued, so we're going to continue to stay on the air as the threat continues. Again, this is eastern Lancaster County, which is also under a severe thunderstorm warning. So there are reports now of more than 2,000 power outages in that area. I believe that's customers. So we have that confirmed. So this obviously is a pretty big storm, has had a history of doing damage, obviously with that amount of people without power. And this is the Coreyville area. Again, very, very southern portions of Lancaster County. So if you go down Lancaster County near the intersection of 372, 472, right in downtown Coreyville, and also south of there is where we're seeing this storm impact as well, pretty much all the way to the Maryland border and up to the Chester County line. So the Octoraro Creek, which borders Chester and Lancaster County, that is included in this warning. So we'll turn the radar off here, and we'll go to the next map just to kind of give you a more solid view on where we're seeing this tornado warning in place. Again, this is the very far eastern portion of the county, Coreyville included in this. Now, there are some very rural areas out here as well, so as far as people seeing something, we haven't gotten any reports of that, but with a lot of the very rural landscape, it would be hard to necessarily detect if we have one on the ground because again, it's pretty sparsely populated in these parts. But again, this is radar indicated. Okay, so we have a radar indicated possible tornado. That means one could be developing. So we'll take you back to the radar map and show you exactly where this tornado warning is ongoing. The other thing I want to show you with this is you see how this thunderstorm is bowing out like this. So that is a sign that we could also have some strong straight line winds associated with this, upwards of 70, even 80 miles an hour. And of course, we have that tornado threat as well, which with this storm, we'll go back to velocity mode and see where we might have some of that rotation. And let me just backtrack here for a second. It doesn't look super strong, but again, this rotation, it's on the very edge of the radar site. So a lot of the rotation we're seeing, we might not be seeing the complete picture, but definitely we're seeing some bright greens on here, which is indicating some stronger winds, even possibly at the surface of 60 to 70 miles an hour. And again, that's enough damage that's enough wind to cause some minor damage to property. So want to just reiterate that oftentimes when we hear the word tornado, we think that it's much worse than straight line winds, but in these types of situations, straight line winds, doesn't matter if it's twisting or not, when you have 60, 70, 80 mile an hour winds, that's enough to do some damage. So again, we're looking at a tornado warning across eastern portions of Lancaster County. That includes the Quarryville area, also up towards the Paradise area, which is in extreme eastern Lancaster County. Also Gap, so you take 30 east of Lancaster and you run into the town of Gap shortly before you get to the Chester County line. That's also an area that is included in this tornado warning. And our producer did tell me that we have 2,000 people, 2,000 customers at least, without power. And looking at that map, that's actually where we have the worst of the storm. So we're zooming into southern Lancaster County there. That's where we have reports of 2,000 people without power. And I want you to look at the radar to the right, and you see where all those dark maroons are? That's roughly where I'm seeing the worst of the storm. So we've got the power outages, and we've got the worst of the storm basically right on top of each other. So that's pretty strong evidence that we did most likely get some sort of damage. Whether it was tornadic or straight line remains to be seen, but bottom line, the National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning, again, for eastern Lancaster County as a result of the threat. So this is, again, radar indicated, not seeing any reports if this tornado is in fact on the ground, but one could be developing. You always have to assume the worst in these situations, so you take the most amount of caution.
Now, what should people do right now if they are in this area, if they're watching our broadcast, if they're tuning in online? What's the smartest thing for people to do in that Quarryville area and the Gap area?
Yeah, so what you want to do is you want to just take yourself, take your loved ones, and get to an interior room on the lowest floor of your home. We do have a graphic, right there it is. You can see the interior room, great spot. It could be a bathroom, could be a closet. Again, we want to stress the lowest floor of your home, away from windows, away from exterior walls. And if you have something to protect your body or protect your head, that's also something that's advisable too, because most of the time when people are injured in a tornado or any type of straight line wind, it's because of debris, because something is hitting you. So you want to protect your body, protect your head, wear a helmet. Blankets are great as well. And we'll also show you an apartment complex. I mean, what do you do there, especially if you don't have a lower floor? Well, if you have an interior staircase that can get you to the lowest floor, if you know your first floor neighbors, that's a good reason you want to know your first floor neighbors when you live in an apartment building, so you have an opportunity to get to an interior room on the lowest floor of your apartment buildings. I know a lot of apartment buildings have closets, utility closets on the lowest floor. That would be a good spot you want to go. And it's not necessarily going to be comfortable, cramming all of you in that very tight space. But again, the idea here is to keep you safe, and your chances of this going without incident increase dramatically when you're in the interior room, lowest floor of your home. So we'll go back to the radar here and show you where the tornado warning is. Again, this is eastern Lancaster County. So Quarryville, you're pretty much out of the woods right now. The worst has moved off to your east. What looks like the worst to me is down towards basically between 472 and 272. This is right in the Kirks Mill Road area, east of Little Britain Road, and then all the way up to the Octorara Creek, which again borders the Chester and Lancaster County line. We're also getting some increased lightning strikes with this, which is an indication that the storm actually may be strengthening, but also further north as well, up towards the Gap area, looking at this purple area. That is an indication of some very heavy rain, most likely some quarter-size hail with that. That is about to move into the area of Acklen, which is just east of Lancaster County into Chester. So if any of you have any friends over in that area that may not know what's coming, or they may not know there's a tornado warning immediately to their west, might be advisable to give them a quick call just to give them a heads up. But definitely a healthy looking storm here, doesn't really show signs of weakening. What I have noticed with this particular storm is we're starting to get it bowing out like this, which means we're getting strong straight line winds that are developing on the backside of the storm and pushing to the east very quickly. So that's something you have to watch out with these storms as well. So anytime we see it bowing like that, that's an indication that we could have some strong straight line winds, again, up to 70, 80 miles an hour. Again, this is a Doppler radar indicated tornado as it is ongoing in eastern portions of Lancaster County. So
reports, Ed, just into our newsroom that crews are investigating some possible storm damage in the Providence Township area right now. So according to what's coming through our email and into our newsroom, it looks like crews are being sent out to investigate some storm damage in that Providence Township area. As you were talking about those high-speed winds, 60, 70, 80 miles per hour, I mean, what kind of destruction can that cause?
Yeah, so that's, I like to, at 70, 80 mile an hour winds can pick up and toss a shed. It can rip gutters off of the side of a home. It could, it also depends on how well the home is built.
Right.
But, in a standard home, part of the roof can collapse when you get into that territory. The outside walls can start to lose some structural integrity. So it doesn't need to be, over 100 miles an hour to do damage. It also depends on, well, how long are the 70 and 80 mile an hour winds blowing? If it's 10 seconds, that could also do damage. But if you're getting that wind blowing for 30 seconds or more, that's just further stress on the building.
And it looks like this is pretty strong. You have lightning strikes here on the radar.
Yep.
The radar is indicating this warning as well.
Yeah, so this was initially a severe thunderstorm, which developed some pretty sizable hail. Radar indicated up to 1 inch in diameter. And then we started to get some rotation with it, and that's why the National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning. So we're going to go back to velocity mode and show you roughly where that rotation is. And if you go north up here, you see where you have basically you have this red area where the winds are blowing like that, and you have the green area where the winds are blowing like that. You have the two different wind directions right next to each other. That's a sign of some rotation in this storm. And as we go further south, you can see that these colors are pretty bright green, indicating some strong winds. Whether it's twisting or not remains to be seen. I've seen parts of this storm spin up, and this could be, a couple week spin ups. You could have a weak tornado at the north end of the storm and another one at the southern end. So it's not necessarily just one specific tornado impacting an area. Sometimes when you get a line of storms like this moving across a county, you can get little embedded weak spin-ups along the actual line that could be several miles apart. So that's another reason, you can't just concentrate on one single area of rotation. The threat is anywhere in that red box that we're seeing across eastern portions of Lancaster County. So the worst of it, Gap area, right over towards the Acklen, which is basically along the Chester and Lancaster County line. And our producer, Tyler, you said we have what?
Yeah, I have some information as well, Ed.
Okay.
So it looks like it's going to go on for at least 10 more minutes, this tornado warning for us until 11:15, according to the National Weather Service. If you are watching this and you're wondering what to do, if you have loved ones who are about to travel or anything like that, being in a vehicle, not safe during any kind of storm like this. So the best course of action is to drive to the closest place where you can take shelter. If you are unable to make it to a safe shelter, either get down in your car and cover your head, or abandon your car and seek shelter in a low-lying area like a ditch or a ravine. You can see it right here on your screen. These are some helpful tips for you. If you have anyone who's traveling in this area, give them a call, let them know what's going on. You don't have to physically see a tornado to take these tips. Just any amount of wind, rain, and the lightning strikes that we were talking about with Ed. The best thing you can do is find a safe place to go and to hunker down until this storm passes and to take cover. Look for ditches along the road, under the bridge as well, too, can be a spot where you can hunker down. Just to be safe, right? Better to be safe than sorry in these type of situations. I know New Providence seeing some damage, so crews are heading out there right now. We also know there are about 1,500 power outages in that area alone. And so, Ed, as we are tracking this, which way is this storm moving? Like, where do you see it going next?
So it's moving east, definitely working into portions of Chester County. And right where we have that outlined red box, I'll show you a better picture without the radar on top. That is where we have the tornado warning. So anywhere in that red area, that is where we have the Doppler radar indicated rotation, and this whole storm as a whole is moving off to the east. So again, the area is impacted. Quarryville, the worst of it is now east of you. If you're in the Paradise area, the worst of it is also nearly just east of you as well. I would still obviously stay in your shelter anywhere from Paradise over towards Gap, pretty much all the way to the Chester County border. Anyone who lives along the Octorara Creek definitely want to keep their safety plan in place. Interior room, lowest floor of your home, and you just want to wait until the warning is over. You know, it may seem like the threat is over, and sometimes you get that eerie quiet before the storm actually hits. So now we have, we're told 1,500 power outages. That's the same general area in southern Lancaster County, and that's really some of where I saw the worst part of this storm move through. And it's really centered right now along the Lancaster-Chester County line. A severe thunderstorm warning has actually been extended about 20 minutes ago into Chester County, but the tornado warning itself over central portions of Lancaster County all the way up to the Chester County border. So the worst of this, Paradise, Gap, getting it pretty good right now. Definitely probably seeing some hail come out of that. So the intersection of State Route 772, also 741, right where they come together, right where you get on 30 when you get into the Gap area, right along 30 there. Definitely looking at what's most likely some quarter-size hail, maybe a little bit bigger. And then, again, some very strong winds. It may not be towards the tornadic part of the storm, but we're still seeing some stronger straight-line winds in other parts of the storm. So we'll go back out, and I've been showing you this bowing that's been taking place with this particular storm, a sign that we're seeing potentially some strong straight-line winds with this as it continues to move east into Chester County. So definitely keep an eye on this. If you're up towards the Paradise, Gap area, you remain in the warning. And Candace, the warning runs through 11:15.
Right, yeah. Right. And I don't know if you've seen any more updates on that coming from the National Weather Service. So we have been on air for a little bit now as this continues to progress throughout our area. I know you were also talking about what to do if you are in a house or in an apartment at this time. The best thing to do, get into an interior space. If you have a bicycle helmet, you can wear that inside to protect your head in case anything falls, any kind of debris. It's good to get to the most interior portion of your household in order to protect yourself and to protect your family. You want to get away from any doors and windows, get to that center part of the house, the lowest part, away from those windows in case these strong winds that are coming through impact your household. And you, of course, grab that blanket, grab that helmet, grab the pillows. You can make it, something with the kids where you bring nail polish, keep them calm, right, while this intense situation continues. So just go to that interior spot. I always find a closet, and I put on tennis shoes always in case anything happens. You have something on your feet to walk through any broken glass in case there is any kind of tornado damage. With apartments, too, you can go to the lowest level as well to protect yourself. As we're continuing to track this storm moving east, we are seeing reports of damage in East Providence and also seeing the power outages there as well right now.
Yeah, so we actually have had the tornado warning extended now into portions of northern Chester County and southern Berks County. So this is well south of Reading, but it does appear that the most rotation that we're seeing, which to me looked like it was in the Gap area about 10 minutes ago, now looks to be moving up into the northeast corner of Lancaster County and extreme northern portions of Chester County. So I'm going to draw a little circle. Right there is where I'm seeing some of the rotation on radar. So that extreme northeastern corner of Lancaster County to the northeast of Gap. That's really been where I've seen some of the strongest rotation with this storm on the northern side of it. So there's enough confidence, there's enough rotation in this storm where the tornado warning has actually been extended further east into Chester County and southern portions of Berks County. So we'll show you the storm as a whole here as we zoom out. You can see we're getting that Boeing segment in eastern Lancaster and western Chester, and definitely probably some good wind in there. So the tornado warning, was that the one that's the extension? That's until 11:20? Okay, so this extension here, this tornado warning that you see into Chester County and southern Berks County, that's a tornado warning which continues until 11:20. Lancaster County, eastern portions of Lancaster County, that warning continues through 11:15, and it's really up here. This is where we're definitely seeing the worst part of this thing right now. It's to the northeast of Gap, so up 897, right along the intersection of State Route 340 and State Route 897, where you see that purple. That is definitely some pretty good hail coming down south of Meadville Road, and to the east of School Lane Road as well. Very eastern Lancaster County, most likely getting some hail out of that, and that's also where we're seeing some of the rotation as well. So this storm does have a history of producing damage. Again, we've gotten reports of as high as 2,000 customers without power in southern portions of Lancaster County. We haven't gotten any reports of power outages yet, and Tyler, if you want to correct me if I'm wrong, but eastern parts of the county where we're focusing right now haven't gotten any damage reports. It doesn't mean it hasn't happened. We just haven't been given that information yet. But certainly, the storm is looking pretty healthy in this direction. So you want to take all means necessary to be safe. And again, interior room, lowest floor of your home, away from windows. Can't stress that enough. You really want to be away from exterior walls, because the more walls that you have between you and the outside of your home, the more layers of safety that you have around you. And obviously wearing a blanket and a bicycle helmet is a good thing in this type of situation, even with straight line winds too. You know, we get so focused on tornadic winds. Again, straight line winds can be just as damaging.
Yeah, we don't want to scare you. We just want you to be prepared in case you are impacted, because Ed is talking about these lightning strikes, winds. We're talking about hail in some areas, and we do know that some crews have been dispatched to head to New Providence to check out any potential damage in that area. So as this storm progresses, of course, Ed said this is our radar indicated tornado warning, so no eyes yet on any kind of funnel, but we are, of course, waiting to find out more information about that as this continues to progress. Ed.
Yeah, so the rotation actually looks to be tightening up a little bit. Now, this is just east of Lancaster County, so this is the newly issued tornado warning that was extended. It's actually extended until 11:45. So I know we mentioned 11:20. It's now 11:45 for Berks and Chester County. Okay, so this threatens now east of Lancaster County, but definitely looking at some rotation. Right where you have green next to red, that's where we have basically the radar is showing us two different wind directions next to each other. If you put a bottle between your hands and you move your hands in opposite directions, it spins. I love to use that analogy because it really explains what we're seeing on radar right here. And the worst of this rotation is just to the east of the Lancaster-Chester County line. So it puts it basically in Chester County. Again, this is tracking to the northeast, could possibly impact areas as far north as Berks County, southern Berks County as well. And again, that tornado warning runs until 11:45. So it does look like the National Weather Service has ended the tornado warning right on time at 11:15, but the threat continues into western Chester County and southern Berks. So again, if you have anybody that you know in that region that might not know what's coming, might want to just give them a heads up just in case. Of course, we'll be here monitoring the threat throughout the afternoon as it evolves. We'll send you right back to programming.